Hi everyone, it's Don here, and I want to thank everybody for all their well wishes and well thoughts for my doctor's appointment today. I got my results for my surgery, and they think they got all the remaining tumors that were there. This is my fifth surgery, so just some follow-ups after this, and if nothing else pops up, that will mean I'm all cleared. So the next couple of appointments are pretty important, but again, thanks everybody. I'm feeling really well, and decided I needed to do a video today because of some people who have asked me for my comments on what has happened with that family and the arguments that broke out on the carnival legend near Melbourne, Australia. So yeah, my thoughts coming right up after this. Quickly, let me just clarify that this is very early on in any investigations that are going on, and there's always two sides to stories, but from what we've gathered so far, there was a large family group of around 30 people that were very disruptive on the Carnival Legend ship. Almost from the get-go of arriving on the ship. Some passengers reported that they seemed to be looking for arguments from the moment they stepped on the ship. And at one point, around 1:45 in the morning, or around early in the mornings, something was said or something was done. Apparently a thong was stepped on, not a body part by accident or a foot. It was apologized for right then on the spot, but things kept on escalating, and over a period of 4 or 5 days, it just kept escalating and escalating to the one point where an all-out brawl broke out, and security was involved, passengers were involved, two different groups clashing, and it just became a mess. And can you imagine, you're there with your kids on a carnival cruise, there for the fun ships, and you're there having time like this, and this kind of stuff breaks out. Apparently, of course, alcohol was involved, so there was excessive drinking, excessive arguing, and very confrontational passengers. And it all excavated into one great big brawl where at one point, after it was finally broken up, the family members were put back into their rooms and under guard, that they weren't allowed to leave their rooms anymore. They made a special stop at a dock, and federal police came on board and took off, I believe it was eight senior males and 4 teenagers, if I have my numbers correct, and then another 11 or 15 women and children followed them off as well. And their pictures are quite graphic. They have lots of cuts and bruises and bandages on their head, and one gentleman has to be helped off by another passenger. So it's kind of a scary situation, and like I said, there's always two sides to every story, but when almost every account from fellow passengers is always this family was the one causing trouble, you would think at one point out of 30 or 40 interviews, you would see one person who said, oh no, they were just standing up for themselves, or the other people were really aggressive towards them and they were just defending each other. But no, apparently this family was the one to start and keep it going. Well, they docked and were escorted off the ships. The cruise continued on its way and is due back in tomorrow morning, back into Melbourne. And I imagine an awful lot of people are going to be complaining about this cruise and saying, hey Carnival, what are you going to do to make up for this very bad time we had? And that leaves me with another question. Well, is it the cruise line's fault that a family was very abusive and very disruptive? And if it was a one-time incident, I would say no. There's a fight, broke out, something happened, it's a one-time incident, how can you blame the cruise line? But they're launching an internal investigation into what happened, because apparently it kept escalating day after day after day. And if it was always pointing to these people as the culprits, then something probably should have been done before it got to the point of the all-out brawl. There should have been warnings. There should have been, talking tos. They should have been, security should have been intervening well before this, to the point where apparently one security guard was attacked by this group as well. So until we hear further comments come out, and I know there's going to be an investigation into this, you can guarantee that. But of course, a lot of the stuff is going to be muddled because security was confiscating phones and deleting pictures and things like this, which I have a very hard time with. I know you're trying to protect your cruise line's reputation, but coming out and taking away photos, and so that seems a little bit much to me. It was one thing if you were confiscating it as evidence, different story. But when you take the phone and delete the pictures on the phone and then give the phone back to the person, I have a really hard time with that. And if that happened on the Carnival, I expect passengers to launch a lawsuit against them, because that is your property, not Carnival's, and they have no right to do that. That is against the law, even if they're on their ship. That's your personal property. You were doing nothing wrong. So that's my opinion on that. As far as the fight itself, it just sounds ridiculous when you sounds like a thong was stepped on. Not a person or a body part, but like a strap or something of a thong. And fights broke out over that. How ridiculous does that absolutely sound? It just sounds crazy to me. But some of these things can happen, and you don't hear of these kind of things very often on cruises, but it happens everywhere. If you go to Cancun, Mexico, you're going to hear of these kind of things happening in some of the 5-star resorts. People get inebriated, and some people are just not nice people. I don't want to say this family is like that because I don't know them. I can only go by the reports that we're hearing so far, and I look forward to hearing more about this story in the future, because it's kind of intriguing to find out why something as simple as somebody stepping on a thong blew up to this proportion. And was there signs like for 4 days that this was getting worse and worse and worse and worse and more confrontational? And if that's the case, why wasn't it handled on the ship before it broke out into that all-out brawl? Those are questions we're going to be looking for in the future, so keep tuned. As soon as I find out any more information on this, I'll share it right here on the channel. So until next time, everybody out there, please have a safe and a great vacation.